Welcome back to another episode of the NABC Guardians of the Game podcast. I'm your host, Tim Doyle, and today we're joined on the podcast by Morehead State head coach Preston Spradlin. You're dancing, okay? When I say that, what feeling comes over you?
Man, it's an unbelievable feeling, right? Because there's something that we've dreamt of for a long time to be able to have that moment, enjoy a championship, and to do it in a year like this, Tim, is extremely gratifying and rewarding. With COVID and all the things that are going on. Especially here in Eastern Kentucky right now, we've been dealing with some devastating flooding, and so it's a great feeling. I think the people of our university, our town, our region really needed this at this time. So it's very gratifying. That's the greatest feeling right now.
You knock off the creme de la creme of your conference, Belmont, to win a championship. Talked about the flooding in Kentucky, an amazing thing that has happened to your squad. You guys didn't miss any games, nor did your opponents, which is a pretty amazing stat. I think we're going to look back on that and be like, whoa, how'd you do that? What was your secret recipe during all this?
You know what? I think first of all, talk about the league. When we were down there for the tournament, we talked. I was told that we were finished. We've played more games than any other league, right? We had the fewest amount of canceled games and rescheduled games and things like that. And wow, that's an accomplishment in its own right. Before we went to the tournament, we talked to our team and explained to them. I think we were one of 30 some teams in the country to play all 27 games, and how fortunate that we were, because they all have friends who are playing other places and they've only played 15 games or whatever it may be. And so we wanted to put that in perspective of how fortunate we are. I think the biggest thing, Tim, our players deserve so much credit. They really do. You can come up with protocols, plans, you can implement rules, all those things. And we've certainly done that. Our administration has safety protocols, just like everyone else has. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be very effective unless the players respect it and they buy into it. And I tell our players every day how much I respect and appreciate their commitment to what we've asked them to do, the sacrifices that they've done. Because at the end of the day, these guys are 18 to 22 years old. I can't promise you that I would have been that disciplined when I was that age to do what they've done. And you have to respect that. You really do. And our guys have done a great job. They take it very seriously, whether it's social distancing or curfew or masking or hand washing. Obviously, we're testing at a high rate. But there's a lot of things that these guys have adjusted to make sure that we're staying safe, staying healthy, and securing our season.
Yeah, if you listen to the podcast, you know that I would have had a very difficult time of kind of living in the bubble. I think my bubble would have been a little bit tough to kind of contain, especially when I was in my college days.
Sure.
Everybody knows I like to have a pretty good time. Are you a Rocky fan? Because I feel like we're around the same age. Do you have a favorite Rocky movie? Like one
Yeah,
through.
I like the Rocky movies. I wouldn't say I'm like a diehard Rocky guy. I have gotten into more of the Creed movies here lately. Our
Okay,
boys
all right. So
love
in,
those.
in Rocky 4, he fights Ivan Drago, right? And at the end, he
Yeah,
gives this big speech about change, right? If I can change, you could change. Your team changed. You guys got off to a rough start this year. Now you played a really strong schedule, and then all of a sudden you flipped the switch. Was it 19 to 20, 20 to 21? I know it was a lot that you won in the row. You really were hot, and obviously go out there and win the OVC conference tournament. What did you say that changed the team, or how did the team change itself?
I think you look back at the beginning of our season. Number one, we had a lot of new players. We got a freshman who in Janai Broom, who I'm sure you're going to want to talk about, who he was a freshman. The first few games of his career. He's still a young guy finding his way. And then we had three guards that start for us right now that they were on our roster last year, but they redshirted, so they were shaking some rust off. And we had guys kind of finding their niche, accepting their roles and things like that early on, as most teams do. And obviously, you mentioned the tough schedule. I think we played the 19th most difficult non-conference schedule in the country. And, you play Kentucky, Richmond, Ohio State, Clemson, who at the time that we had played them were all top 25 teams. And, those are tough tests, especially for a young team, or I wouldn't say we're a young team, but a new team rather. You got just some new pieces that hadn't played with one another. And so, we just kept our focus, Tim, on literally getting better. And I know you hear that a lot. Nick Saban says it, and guys, but we really did do that. We just kept our focus very small. Let's focus on getting better every day. Each game is going to offer up a gift of knowledge that you can get better from. And if you're fortunate enough for it to be a win, it helps. If not, it's going to sting a little bit coming off a loss. But we focused on getting better every single day. And when we played our 10th game against Clemson on the 21st of December before we went home for Christmas, we had played more games than anyone in the country. How about that? And so a couple things. One, we were exhausted. We were tired. I mean, I had a guy, our starting point guard, Kevin Hunt Jr., I took him out of the game with like 4 minutes to go. And God bless his heart, he literally hobbled over to the bench. And I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Coach, I'm dead. I'm so tired." And they were physically exhausted. They were mentally exhausted. And we let them go home. We made that difficult decision. And, I don't know what was right or wrong for every coach in the country. You got to make that decision. But we made the decision early on that we were going to safely allow our players to go home and see their families. That was important to me that we did that. And they got to go home for 4 days, came back. We re-entered them back into our bubble, safely with testing and spacing and all that kind of stuff. And then we had a week to work on ourselves. That's really important heading into the bulk of your conference schedule with 18 games left. And that's where we got better. We got better because we didn't focus on another opponent. We were fresh, we were healthy, and we got better during that time.
You mentioned Nick Saban. Just because you're a basketball coach, is he someone that you look up to?
Yeah, for sure. My assistant, Jonathan Maddox, he is a big football guy. I'm probably the worst football guy that you're ever going to meet. I like football. I'll watch it a little bit every now and then, but I know nothing about it. But I am big on leadership. And my assistant, Jonathan, he loves Alabama football. He loves Coach Saban. He's shared a couple books with me, and I've taken a lot from him. I just think his approach to discipline and coaching, obviously, it speaks for itself with his record, but it leaves a lot for us to learn from on this side.
Well, on the basketball side, you learned from a pretty good one in Coach Calipari while you were the director of operations there at Kentucky. In what ways has Coach Cal impacted your career?
Well, first of all, he gave me my first opportunity. I wouldn't be here. It's untelling where I would be if I'd even be in coaching had it not been for him, giving me a chance and giving me multiple opportunities to just get better while I worked under him. And, Cal he's unbelievable. He really is. I think the greatest thing about him is he really, truly is about his players more than anything. And he believes that. He lives it out every single day. He's an unbelievable coach, but it's because of where his heart is for his players and for his staff and how he takes care of people that makes him a Hall of Famer in my mind.
That culture has been a big coaching buzzword. How have you defined the culture you've built at Morehead State?
Togetherness and toughness. That's what we're about. And we have what we call a get it back mentality. And so the very first practice plan that I put together every year, whether it's an individual workout or it is a team meeting or practice, the emphasis of the day is get it back. And what we tell the guys is it goes hand in hand with our goal of getting better, right? We don't need anyone to be perfect here. We don't allow the guys to say my fault or my bad because we feel like that's a negative comment. We feel like if you make a mistake and you look at your coach, you look at your teammates and you say, "I'm going to get it back for you." Now you're injecting positivity into the conversation. And that positivity allows you to go out, correct your mistake, and get better. And at that point, now you've built trust. And those things are really important to us. And the togetherness and the toughness are a result of that. And so if you came to our practice, if you were watching our games, Tim, and paying attention, you would literally hear players and coaches constantly yelling, "Get it back. I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get it back." And that's what they do. I don't sub players for missing shots or turning the ball over. I'm going to leave them out there for a few more possessions and give them an opportunity to get it back. And we reward those plays. We show those plays. We literally, every film session, the film session is loaded with get it back plays. Guy turned it over, whatever. He goes back and he takes a charge. And the bench goes crazy and they jump up and they scream, "He got it back." And we show those things. And it's important because when you have that mindset, you have that culture, it develops toughness, it breeds togetherness, and it allows kids to play free and loose without worrying about getting yanked out of the game for making mistakes all the time.
Yeah, get it back. I just wrote it down because next time I stay out a little bit too late, maybe have one too many bourbons, and then my wife is, not too happy with me, I'm going to say, we're going to get it back. Or I'm not going to say it's my bad. I'm just going to say, let's get it back, coach.
Hey, listen, I'm going to clean the kitchen. I'm going to get it back, whatever.
Clean the kitchen, I could do. The bathroom stuff, I don't know about you, coach. You may be a better man than me. That's a tough one for me. And I know we got little kids, you and I.
Oh, man. Hey, listen, I got to say this. We were home during quarantine like everyone else in the world, right? For a Division I college basketball coach, I ate dinner, lunch, breakfast with my family every day, 3 meals a day for 6 straight months. Now, I love recruiting. I love coaching. I love traveling. I love all the things that come with the grind of being a college basketball coach. But I don't think that any Division I coach would ever regret the quarantine situation, being home with your family. I mean, we had so much fun, and I'm reminded of that because you talked about cleaning, right? My wife, every coach's wife has a honeydew list, right? Like, hey, these are the things that when your season's over, coach, we need you to get done, right? We need you to fix the cabinet, whatever it is, right? We don't have to do that stuff. Well, we couldn't run from it. First time ever, coaches, normally season's over and it's like, hey, babe, I got to go. I got to get on a plane. Got to go see this kid. Otherwise, he's going to go to Morehead State. And we couldn't run from it this year. So, man, I got so much stuff done at my house. I spent so much time. I'd love to know the amount of miles that my family that we walked. We would just get out and walk and just see people. And man, that time at home was so valuable for my mental health and for the health of our family. And I cleaned some bathrooms a little bit. Yeah, my wife got me doing some of that stuff.
It's interesting about the work-life balance. And as a broadcaster, I'm on the road, especially during the season, calling games in airports, city to city, where am I at, who's playing tonight? Like, I have some of those moments when I sit down, I'm like, all right, who's playing tonight? And you're just like, all right, the game's about to start. The work-life balance. I've broadcasted all but one of my games this year, including my NBA season, from my house, from my basement.
Wow.
And just wonder how recruiting is going to be impacted and potentially save you guys from getting on the road maybe as frequently as you used to with Zooms. Yeah, here and you can watch the podcast over Zoom on the YouTube channel, but I wonder how much that is going to change at least for the next 2 or 3 years, because some people still aren't comfortable with like coming in people's houses and seeing people face to face. And recruiting right now for juniors and seniors, that's a tough spot because you guys can't see them in person. So I wonder how much is going to kind of switch over to 80-20, 50-50 of kind of these video conferences.
Sure. Yeah. I think it's going to become more common, right? I think we had a proposal out there back during the season to actually, reduce the number of recruiting days that we could be out. Obviously it helps your institution financially if you're not out there traveling as much. Zoom calls and things like that are certainly more cost efficient. I think there's a lot of negative effect to it, right? I mean, you mentioned all the high school players that are out there that, your heart just goes out to. Some of them didn't get their senior seasons and they're not getting to enjoy the recruiting process. And, it's tough. It is a tough time for those kids. And as a coach, it's hard to evaluate. You don't get a chance to go see these kids and really get an evaluation on them like you really truly would. So it's an adjustment for everybody. I do think moving forward, it'll be a bit of a hybrid. I think once we get the opportunity to get back out on the road, coaches are going to be ready to do it because, recruiting is a face-to-face business. Evaluation is an in-person task. And when you try to do those things virtually, it's just not going to be as good. It's not. We'll make do with it because that's what we do as coaches. You adjust, right? But I don't know that we've seen the effects of it just yet. And, even for us, Tim, we really pride ourselves in getting players and their families on campus. Our campus visits are phenomenal. We have a great track record once we get you on campus, because then you get to see in person the people and meet them who are going to be involved in your success. And that's where we've had success in recruiting. So that part ways to supplement that.
You played NAIA ball. My business partner and colleague, he played NAIA at St. Xavier, the south side of Chicago. He has some funny stories. One was they traveled to a road game. They brought their home jerseys, so they had to go back and get their road jerseys. So they had to wear their road tops, but their home bottoms. So they had red tops. Do you have any NAIA stories that maybe stand out to you throughout your playing career? I can see your face get a little red here, Coach. So there's got to be one that maybe comes immediately to your mind. Because wait, you played NAIA, then you coached at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Now you're at Morehead State. So man, you've seen a lot of different spectrums of basketball.
Seen it all, man. I've been at every level. Been very blessed. Yeah, man. Alice Lloyd, what an unbelievable experience over there, tucked away in the mountains of Eastern Kentucky. Beautiful campus, small, intimate setting. They love basketball over there. Man, you know what? We used to travel in some vans. We had, these big church vans. And as a player, I would drive the van sometimes. So that was like one of the things that you did, right? You learned, you watched the video, you took the little test, and you got licensed or whatever to drive the van.
Wait. There was a test and stuff to drive the van. Like,
was this like a little deal? You had to watch the video. And
was this a school? Was this like a school test, or was it like?
Yeah. You had to get it done, and but man, I tell you, the greatest thing, I got to say this about Alice Lloyd. Okay, so it's a work study college. So it's one of, I think, 3 in the country. What that means is everybody there has a job. The moment you step on campus, you work and you do something. And so my first 2 years, I was a dorm janitor. Okay, and so I would literally, when practice would be over at night, I would come to the dorm, and you had to work 2 hours a day.
Wait, hold on. So when you go to the dorm, do you have like I'm sorry, I'm just picturing you in like a janitor's uniform with the name tag Preston. Did you have a name tag?
We didn't have the name tag.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, we did have the big yellow gloves, right?
That's why you don't mind cleaning the bathroom. That's where we differentiate, because you're used to doing that.
So listen to this. So my wife, we went to college together, and she worked in what's called the craft shop there, and they used to do like toy drives, and they made ornaments to send out to all the donors. So she was like a professional elf making these ornaments. And so how about this? Our first 2 years, our freshman and sophomore years, at the end of every school year, they have an awards banquet for the school. She and I won male and female work study of the year winners 2 years in a row. We were literally the hardest working couple on campus for 2 straight years. And so I love to tell that story, because my job was to clean toilets. Well, that was my job. It's not the most glamorous job in the world, but I embraced it, and I did it to the best of my ability. And it's a part of my story and a part of who I am. But man, being at Alice Lloyd, I did my teammates' laundry, just because, hey, maybe I got to the gym before everybody else and it needed to be done. And so you learn a lot of humility, right? You learn a lot of respect for what gets done at that level. And I cherish my time there as a player. And we've actually been able to play Alice Lloyd since I've been a head coach here 2 or 3 times. We try to do it every year if we can work it out. And I always make sure to go over in their locker room and speak to those guys after the game and let them know, hey, I was in your position. Enjoy this. Enjoy every second of it, because you don't get this time back. And that's important to me, that we make sure we give back to those schools.
That's a pretty amazing story. I played for 2 different coaches, Mike Jarvis at St. John's and Bill Carmody at Northwestern, who, when we played, Coach, I know I'm a little bit older than you, but we're around the same age. I'm not sure coaches opened up about, maybe their past or their family life. I think that's an amazing story that you shared. That's one that when you were telling it about being a janitor and cleaning toilets, that resonated with me. And I'm not sure if that's a recruiting pitch for you, but I'm telling you right now, put it in the recruiting pitch. Yeah. Tell it to your team this weekend. Tell it before you go play in the tournament. I was like, that story is unbelievable that you did that, because to me, I know how hard it's been with the grind of broadcasting. I know the late nights that I put in. I know the early mornings. I know the performing. I know the different shows, the song and dance. So I see a lot of parallels with broadcasting and coaching, right? You're chasing this dream, and sometimes it's a subjectivity contest, and sometimes someone's got to like you got to catch a break. So that's an amazing story of your work study at college and being a janitor. Tell me this, you were the interim coach there when you were promoted from within in 2016 after a year as the interim head coach. When you were the interim head coach, what were your goals as far as building relationships with the faculty, building relationships with people at Morehead, maybe give an inside look for some of the younger coaches listening to this. A couple of things maybe you felt like now you can take a step back and go, man, I really did the right thing there.
No, that's a great point. I'm big on relationships in general, and I think the big thing for us is investment. My wife and I, and we invest a lot of time, and we invest a lot of meaningful relationships with people, especially here in the community and on campus. And so during my interim year, we would spend a lot of time in the community. I mean, if there was another sport that was playing, we were there. And we did that anyway, but we were a little more intentional about doing it at that
Yep.
point in time because we wanted people to know, hey, we want to be here at Morehead. We love everything about it, not just being the basketball coach. And, I think the student engagement was really important at that point in time. And so I used to go on Monday nights. I had a graduate assistant who would set up meetings with me in the fraternities and the sororities. And so
Wow.
one Monday, maybe I'd go see the frats. The next Monday, maybe I'd bounce around and see the sororities, and I'd pop into their meetings. I'd speak for 10, 12 minutes and just, hey, tell them, they're the reason that we have great players here and they need to come out and support us. And I would literally on game days during the week, I would go down to our student center where, everyone's, grabbing food at noon, and I would stand up on a table. I would blow my whistle and I would let everybody know that we were having a game that night and they needed to be there and make a complete fool out of myself. But it was worth it. We finished the year second in the league that year in the standings. We finished first in attendance during my interim season because, people wanted to come out and they wanted to see what was happening on this end of campus.
Well, don't you also have the cheerleaders? Because I've done a game at Morehead State. Don't you? I mean, no offense to the basketball team.
Sure.
But once in a while, I'm more impressed by the performances. Do you ever catch? I know you're probably pretty focused, but isn't it like the legendary cheerleading team there?
Legendary. Okay. So they're unbelievable, right? I think they're up to almost 40 national championships.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. You mentioned Nick Saban. So the cheer coach here is my guy, Mark Coleman. He's a great friend of mine. His wife and my wife are friends. And we call him the Nick Saban of college cheerleading. He's unbelievable. The dude has rings, and he's a fantastic coach. Cheerleading.
Have you ever pulled anything from him?
We'll talk. Strategies like, hey, how do you deal with discipline with kids and different things like that. But he's a fantastic coach, and the proof is in his success. But yeah, we have 100 cheerleaders. We have two squads. I mean, they practice all the time. They're in there at 9:00 at night. They are the as you mentioned, the creme de la creme. I'm gonna steal that one from you. They are big time cheerleaders, man. I'm glad you gave them a shout out.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, it must make recruiting a little bit easier. You're like, hey, coach, I need 4 or 5 of your hundreds on the team to show up to the court and do a little thing for a recruit coming to town.
For sure.
You have a beautiful daughter, Aubrey, but we got to give your boy Bentley some love. Are those your dance moves that you taught him that kind of went viral, or are you going to blame that on Misty?
I'm going to take credit. I'm going to take some credit. Listen, man, having fun is so important in my life, in my coaching, and with my family. We have a lot of fun at home, man. We do the dance game. We have dance parties. So we get down all the time. But my son, man, he's such a great spirit about him, Tim. I think God's got big plans for my son. I really do. But man, he has a lot of fun, and the fact that he was on national television with those dance moves he was a big time celebrity. When my wife picked him up from school on Monday, he got in the car and he said, I was the BMOC today, the big man on campus. He said his teacher wanted his autograph for those dance moves. So yeah, man, it was really cool.
Well, it was awesome spending time with you. I think that you need to go get the janitor shirt with the name on it. I think it's a great motivational speech. Maybe get the broom out.
There you
Say,
go.
I've worked just as hard as all you guys. Here's how I got to this point. Maybe I'm just giving you a little tool, because I'm telling you right now, 18 to 22-year-old Tim Doyle, that would have left an impression on me. I would have been like, man, this guy cleaned toilets and now he's the head coach. Kids don't realize what the journey is like until you become, out of college, an adult and stuff. And that was an amazing story. We really appreciate you sharing it with us. Thanks so much for all your time today.
Thanks, Tim, man. I really appreciate it. I'm a longtime member of the NABC. So to get to be on here and chat a little bit means a lot to me.
Well, we appreciate your time, and thanks for you guys out there tuning into the NABC Guardians of the Game podcast. Coach Spradlin, good luck. You're dancing, my friend. Bentley, get those dance shoes out, my man. And we look forward to catching up with you down the road.
Thanks, my friend.